Hey everybody, welcome to this video. So today I wanted to talk to you about Turo. So Turo is an app where you can list your car for rent and random strangers on the app can just, book your car for a day, 2 days, maybe three, maybe even a week, and you get money from that. I've listed my car with Turo for about 2 months now, and I just kind of wanted to share with you what my experience has been and whether the money is worth and whether it's worth it. So let's get into it. So setting up my car on the app was relatively easy. I just had to answer some questions, provide information about my license, information about the car, proof of insurance, things like that, and pretty much all of it can be done probably within a day. You just go into the app, follow the steps, and pretty much by the end of that day or whatever, your car will be listed on Turo. So moving on to the actual car rental process. So I bought my car at the beginning of August, and I was like, hey, if I can rent out my car a few times a month to just kind of pay off the car, the car could pay for itself, that would be pretty sweet. So that's why I listed my car, and I have a Toyota Corolla, and that's one of those car types that a lot of people tend to gravitate to. Toyotas are known for being reliable, for getting good mileage, and all that good stuff. So I listed my car, and I think within a week, I would say, or maybe even less than a week, I instantly got somebody to book the car. And on that actual day, so I didn't properly set up my calendar, so on that day I actually had something or a place that I had to be at, and I needed my car, and I had to cancel the booking. And what I didn't know is that Turo actually charges you a $35 fee when you cancel a booking, and because it was my first time, they let me they waived that fee. But in general, if somebody books your car and you cancel on them, you have to pay in order to make that cancel. So just putting that out there, because I didn't know that. I thought you could just deny people left and right. I didn't know you had to pay a fine if there was a problem. Setting your car on the app is relatively easy, but then when it actually comes to the car rental process, Turo doesn't really do much of a job to guide you through that process. You just kind of have to figure it out as you go. But basically the process is supposed to go like this. So you list your car on Turo, somebody sees your car, they're like, oh damn, this is a nice car, let me rent it out for the weekend or something, and then you get the notification once they book that your car's been booked. So and so is going to pick it up at, let's say, 8 a.m. or 10 a.m. On this day and return it on this time, right? And then what happens from there is you usually get a text from in the app. The person who wants to book your car will have sent a message just kind of saying hey, I'm renting this car because I have errands to run, or I have a wedding to attend, or whatever it is. And then you can usually just respond with okay, yeah, that's great, whatever. And then from there, pretty much nothing happens until the actual day where you meet. And then on the day that you meet, you have to do a check-in. So on the Turo app, you have to go in and you have to take pictures of the front of the car, the sides, the back, the odometer, the gas gauge, and after that's done, you hit check-in complete. Then you can hand over the keys, check the person's license, and then they're good to go. From there, the person has your car, they'll drive it to where and do whatever they want or need to do. And then following that, once the car's been returned, you do another check-in. And then from there, then you pretty much have the money. Money's added to your account, and then you can instantly cash out. They don't charge you fees for cashing out. There isn't a certain threshold you have to meet. As soon as that money comes in, it's ready to go, and you can just have it and deposit it into your bank. Okay, so from the financial aspect, I'm going to tell you this. So I had a trip, my very first trip. So I listed my car, I think it was $30, and this person booked it, and out of that $30, I got $21. I don't know what percentage that is. That was my very first, trip on Turo that somebody booked with me. On my second trip, I had somebody who wanted it for a period of 2 days, and I got about $42 from that trip, because again, my car was rented at $30. And what I thought was really interesting and not fair is the fact that the person who actually booked the trip, she was having like problems, I guess, with the app or something. So she was like showing me the app on her phone. And on her phone, when I looked, the price she paid for my car was about 124, I believe, 150, something like that. And she was paying 150, 120 maybe, and I was only getting $42. And the car itself was only being, or should have only costed her $60. So I don't know what was happening in that particular case. I think she just might have booked like the extra like insurance options. Maybe she did like full insurance coverage or something. And those and money from those kinds of things doesn't go to you, it goes somewhere else. In conclusion, for me personally, it didn't make sense to list my car and be inconvenienced so much. Just for like $21, like what is that? Not having my car for an entire day, and only getting $21 out of it didn't really seem like a good deal. I don't know what your situation is. I don't know what you're trying to get from listing your car in this app, but if you are thinking about it just to make an extra buck here and there, then definitely go for it. I think it's a great way to make like an extra 20, 60 maybe dollars every month or so. And if you can make your car more available and have more availability times, then you can definitely make more money off of it. But do think about like how inconvenient it is, because you have to meet with the person to give them the keys and do the check-in. And again, when they like bring the car back, you're gonna have to figure out some way where they can give you the keys and trust that they do the check-in properly. So that's one part of it. Another part is that I just didn't like having, like, not knowing what somebody is doing to my car, like I don't know how these people drive. I don't know if they're like, I don't know how they're gonna treat my car while they're gone. And if my car was like this old car that I didn't really care too much about, then that's fine. But the fact is, like I just bought my car like 2 months ago. It's like my baby, so I really care about the condition that it's in, and I always try to keep it clean, and like I don't want scratches on it. I don't want it, I don't want it to get dirty. I don't want to drive it through the mud. I don't want to get my tires. So like for me, I care a lot about my car. So when people drive off with it, I just like feel like a little part of me is just not with me. And so yeah, so there is that part of it. If you care about your car, I mean, I don't know. I feel like Turo would be great if I had some kind of like sports car or some like extravagant exotic car that a lot of people want to rent. For example, like I noticed the Chevrolet Camaros are generally a good option that people tend to lean towards. I noticed like a lot of like Teslas, convertibles, things like that. Things that really stand out would be a good option. Like I feel like if you had a nice sports car that you didn't use regularly and it wasn't your daily commuting car and it was just sitting there most of the time, you could definitely list it on Turo and you could definitely make more money. Like if you can book your car for at least 45 to 50 bucks minimum, it would be worth it. However, for me personally, because of the make and type of car that I have, even though there is demand for it, the amount that I can rent it out for simply doesn't make sense for me. Like it doesn't make sense for me to rent out my car and potentially have somebody ruin it because they're just careless with it, and only get like $20 in return. Like that's just not worth it to me. That is just my personal take on it. If you are interested or if you haven't signed up for Turo yet, you can actually click the link in the description box and you can get $25 off your very first rental on Turo. And also, just so that I actually get $25 as well when you sign up. That pretty much wraps up what I have to say. Let me know if you have any questions. I'd love to answer them, and I guess I'll see you next time.